Well, hello, true gardeners. So welcome back. We are in Vero Beach, Florida today, and we are in a very small backyard space. This is original builder's package, and I wanted to bring you guys along because I get this problem so very often. A lot of times I come to a house and it's a builder's package gone wrong, and plants and trees were just kind of stuffed in ways that really didn't make a whole lot of sense for the particular space. So in today's video, I wanted to kind of just stress kind of why it's so important to have a landscaping that's going to actually sustainably work for you in a long-term situation versus, just filling in the whole area with plants and trees like a lot of times you see with your typical builder's package. Now, this particular house, on paper, this lot was perfect. When my clients looked at it, they had a beautiful water view to the back, and in the plan, there was some concealment on the corners from the other houses. But in reality, what they got was just a big mesh of material all the way straight across. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share with you a good way to kind of capitalize on nestling maybe the corners of the backyard lot in a little bit with some plant and tree material that's going to offer privacy and color. And then down in the middle section where you want to see that water view, where you want a direct path, I intentionally brought material in that still had weight, that had like some structural weight and some color weight. So it gives your eye definitely a focal point, but it allows you to see up and over top of it. And not for just now, but it's going to allow you to see that for years and years and years, even as that material matures and grows in. And that's the difference when you're working with just filling a space with a bunch of material versus being intentional about the plants and the trees that you choose for each area. And I think that happens a lot, and that's why I want to bring you guys along for today's video. So right now, my guys are starting the removal and the cleanup in the back. In just a moment, I'm going to walk through the finished product with you guys. Well, for you guys, it'll be just a moment. For me, it'll be about a day and a half. So I will see you in a day and a half, and we're going to walk through the chosen plants and trees for this particular space. That way you guys have a really good idea of what we started with, what that kind of clutter looks like, to a space that's more wide open, a space that has concealment on the corners, but has more strategic middle section. So you have kind of this going on right from the beginning. And hopefully you'll be able to see as it matures. I'll try to visually explain to you kind of how those layers are going to kind of come into place. And that to me is very important. That's an intentional space. It's an intentional landscape. So I will see you in that second, and we'll get to see the finished product. See you soon. And just like that, we are done. It is a finished project. We're going to walk back through this garden and do what we normally do, you guys. We're going to talk about the plants, the trees, the things chosen. But just like I mentioned earlier in the video, I want to make sure to hit some hot topics, some hot things that I think are going to really translate well now that you guys seen the finished product and why we did certain things the way that we did them. And then Bryce made a good suggestion, a good point, where if you guys are looking to kind of create something like this and it's your front yard garden, there's some other ways that you can do the same type of landscaping and how you can kind of translate that into your front garden. But I'm getting ahead of myself. First, we're going to go take a look at this backyard. We're going to do a tour of the garden, and we're going to chit chat a little bit. Before we do that, Bryce, do you want to kind of get a good visual of what this space looks like and just to get a good point of reference for our true gardeners? So this back door, the back windows, right from the front door, everything focuses out on this. So as soon as I came in through the front door, I got a nice visual of this back space. So it's no wonder why my clients not only wanted to see a pretty landscaping and a lot of color, but what they really wanted to see was that in a cohesive situation with the water view. This is a beautiful back lake backdrop that has a gorgeous fountain. And I think that the combination of being able to borrow that as part of their own outdoor space, outdoor seating section, I can tell why they want to be in this back space and enjoy it every single evening. But enough chit-chatting, let's walk through this garden. All right, you guys, so as I mentioned before, this is not a big space. So it was very important to stay strategic about what is going to work in this space long term. So just to give you kind of a quick point of reference, everything on the right side here of this water feature is going to get 5, 6, 7 foot tall. This is all going to get some height, starting from our backdrop there and starting from our Vero wood tree there. All of this is going to really have some rise and cover up the fence line and then work its way down as you get to the screen room. But then when you get to the direct path of the center of that doorway and the center of the front door, and this is really important when you guys are thinking about your own layout, find your destination, find that location where that's your direct viewpoint, whether it's the seating section that's most important to you, or it's what people see when they walk through the front door, or that kitchen window, whatever that area might be. That's your lower area. That's the area that has the big focal points. And right here, that is that space between the agaves. This is the area that we wanted to keep pretty much a clear zone so they can see the pond to the back with the water feature, and that way they feel like they have the best of both worlds. So all of this material from this point back is dwarf material. And even the back grouping, the mammy crotons, if you guys have had mammy crotons, you know, super easy to keep them compact and small. So I only want these guys to get about 1 foot to 2 foot taller max. That way there is no obstruction of this back space. They're really just gonna, my goal is to have them connect so they get that pop of real bright color, but not the coverage like a Lucie hedge would offer, or a red cloak grouping would offer, or ginger grouping. These are gonna be so small and compact and so easy to maintain that they'll always stay a solidly low backdrop. And that's kind of the goal for those. Then down below, we have a dark green. These are dwarf Nana Calusia. They're the small Calusia, so they're going to grow super slow. And they kind of just do a ring around the rear side of this Yucca rostrata agave. The purpose for these guys here is once these guys get a little bit of size to them, once they get a couple foot bigger in this area, they're going to have about a 6 to 7 inch stem. And so I want to keep something pretty small. A lot of times I'll use gold mound or something that's going to be able to be maintained at a low height. But what I do like about anytime you have something with this much color, adding some green to it really is a nice contrast. So when these grow together as a solid grouping, these guys back here are really going to pop with that yellow and red and green kind of coloration. So I think that'll tie in nicely with this as kind of like a little bit of a ring around the rear side of the centerpiece. I could have put another false agave in this particular spot, but I think this Yucca rostrata being so compact and small, and even knowing that the overall space of this guy is going to stay very similar to where he's at, he's just going to get a little bit of a stem on him over time, over a long period of time, because they grow so slow. I think it's going to be just a nice crowning effect. So this will be our centerpiece here with some bigger structural features like the false agaves on either side. These guys are going to get dynamic. They're going to get bigger. They're going to get 2 to 3 foot taller and another couple foot wider, and they're going to be such a focal point back here and really draw your eye. While this guy is just kind of a little bit of an exclamation point in the middle and never going to compete with the water view to the back. So I think that was really important to my clients to keep this more subdued in this particular spot. Then we've got just a tad bit of coleus on either corner. Now I love using coleus. I'll just use a little selection of them because I love what they offer. They offer a nice big pop of color. A lot of people wonder how you maintain them because they use them like an annual. I use them like a perennial. All I do is twice a year, I cut them back down to about 6 to 8 inches, and then I let them flush right back out. So in June and February, those are the months that I usually cut them way back. If you cut them nice and small back, that's usually when I cut all my ground cover back, even my lantanas, give them a nice good haircut. They will flush out with a whole new head, with a whole new bit of growth, and you get all that brand new color. So if you can do that twice a year, then you're really gonna just have such a fantastic perennial plant to work with. So I do a little dab of coleus in this little collection of foxtail ferns just around this Tennessee boulder. And then these are neon lantana. Some of my favorite types of lantana. Now these guys are very young. They're little 1 gallons, but they will really mature out to be kind of a nice mounded lantana. They're going to completely cover up the mulch in their grouping and kind of just make a little sea of this variegation in color. I just love all of the different types of blooms that they offer. And once again, you guys, contrast is key. Contrast is really important. You'll notice that all of this is going to vary with the dark green Xanadu at the bottom. Then you got that pop of green and yellow of the false agave. Then we go back dark with the Rojo Congos as the backdrop. Then we brighten it back up with the sloppy painters at the rear side. And then we go to the right on each end and we give a nice big thick cluster of magnificent crotons. Those guys are fabulous when they're going to mature out 3-4 foot tall, really widen out, become a big leaf croton. No wonder why it's called magnificent croton. but those are really going to contrast super well together. But you know, you guys, I'd like to focus in on the 2 trees that we used, and I'm literally saying 2 trees because I know you guys are all wondering, where are the pygmies, where are the foxtails, where are the King Alexanders? And you know that they're my favorites, but in some cases, that is not what's appropriate for a space. And that's kind of where we were in this area. We needed an open area so that way they can see the beautiful Disney Springs Lake. So having a bunch of that thickness, having a bunch of that layering in here was just kind of not cohesive with this particular plan. That's why I think it's so important to really think about what you want from the space, where you're going to sit in the area, where you're going to sit in your home, where you're going to sit in your patio section to make sure that you're really focusing on exactly what you want to see. In this particular situation, this is Disney Resort Vero Beach Country Club. And if you've got the benefit of borrowing somebody else's lake, this is a fabulous thing to do. And I can totally understand why my clients wanted to enjoy this day in and day out. It's nice when you get to borrow another landscape. So the only thing that we used tree-wise here were these Viera woods. Now these are still fairly young, they're 25-gallon size. I love the leaf on these guys, are just so delicate, almost like a little fern leaf. I just absolutely love the way they look. They will branch out to a nice big opening. The birds are going to love them, and they bloom a gorgeous yellow flower. One of the reasons why I chose them for this particular spot is because if you noticed, there's not a lot of room between here and the screen. And I didn't want something that they're constantly maintaining over that way. I kind of wanted something that was going to purposely stay rather small. So this isn't what I would consider a patio tree like a hibiscus or a bougainvillea, but it's just one step bigger. So if you got an area that you really want a lot of blooms and you don't have the room for like a big poinciana tree, but you want something bigger than a jatropha or a hibiscus or bougainvillea tree, this is a nice intermediate tree. I'm going to ask Bryce to put on the screen what these guys look like as they mature out, because it's such a stunner and it's definitely worth having. And it's one of those trees that are so overlooked. And if you guys love bird traffic, you're looking for a great branching tree that you can put some bird feeders in, Viera woods are a very, very good choice for that. And I would love to see them more in people's gardens just because of just how stunning they are and how easy they are to keep at a smaller space. They're not your big hardwoods that you're going to have to worry about the root system near a pool area. These are going to be more on the petite side of trees, and that way you're not trimming like a crazy person back here. That is a lot of times where my focus goes when I have a small area to work in. I definitely want to make sure that I'm working with a small area and realize that over time, so that way the maintenance stays small as well. But I bet you guys are wondering where those big, beautiful buffering plants that I mentioned earlier went. And we had one particular side over here that was kind of an area that is pretty much houses and, some other plants that have kind of gone crazy. So we wanted to take this area right here and create a big mound of blooms. Originally, there was some coleusias here, and I think this is going to be a much better solution. I mean, do these not scream, hello, tropics? They're great for the birds, great for the hummingbirds, and they're gorgeous to see from inside. You get these giant, big, beautiful leaves, and of course, this stunning bloom, and you get this all year long. We are in January, just had a big, giant cold snap, and look, they're still just blooming away like nothing's happened. However, as much as I love them, and I definitely love the group combination they make so they can fill up a whole corner, they can really take over and become that tropical backdrop that you want. However, that bottom 2 foot of space is going to get a little stemmy. So that is perfect to bring in something light and bright, like these sloppy painters. These sloppy painters are going to get some more size to them, connect together as one solid grouping. We have 5 of them here, kind of staggered in here, but the goal is to not see any mulch. This is going to be one mass planting right here, and that is going to be the backdrop to this coloration. And I hope you guys can see how that layering is going to come into effect, where these guys are here and these guys are 8 to 10 foot tall on this corner. Now this area, obviously this is nothing that my client Sue really wanted to see. So she's like, hey, just bring in the color. So if you've got a spot like that and you don't mind hiding something, Brazilian red cloaks are fabulous. Red cone ginger are fabulous. Even the green shell ginger, all of those give you that real tropical, flamboyant type of look, but they are going to offer you some coverage and some buffering. So if that is your goal, then these are a fantastic fit for you guys in our zone 10A. Hey, you guys, I wanted to pop in here real quick and ask you, if you have not yet, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way you'll see us every single Saturday in your feed. Also, I want to let you know that we have created a video explaining our 3 services. So that way we didn't have to go into it every single video. For those of you guys who are interested and would like to learn more about what we do and what we offer, then please click that video. It will be pinned in the first comment of this video and future videos, and it'll kind of explain to you in detail of what we do and our 3 services that we offer. That way we can see if we're a good fit for what you guys might be looking for. Also, Bryce mentioned it will be the first link in the description. Thank you guys so much, and back to the video. All right, so I bet you guys are wondering how this kind of landscaping that's right here can also work just as well in a front yard garden. So you guys have seen me use a lot of the same plant material in both front yards and backyards, and that's what I love about how versatile this plant grouping is. This combination can work so well even in the same pattern, in the same palette. So just like we have here, as long as we're working with layers, you're just going to want to make sure that your accent features, these accent features that you see here, if they're not on this back berm like they are here, they can easily be in front of a garage window or in front of that main section of your dining room window. You can put an agave and have a triple row of them with some small plants, just like you see layered here. So the goal is if you want something dynamic and you need it to not cover a space, whether it's a fountain or a dining room window or the center of 2 garage windows. If you're looking for something like that, I love the use of something like this trio pattern. And it does not have to be an agave if you're not a fan. It could be birds of paradise. It could be king sagos. It could be dioun palms. All of those offer you that same kind of vertical structure. So the goal is to find a focal point accent and make that a vertical impact, and then layer around underneath of it. Height to the back if you need it, and then some softness to the middle and color at the bottom, and you're kind of just all golden from there. So those of you guys recreating that feel, I hope that kind of helps put it into perspective of how those layers come together. So as I mentioned, this back garden here is low maintenance, and not only trimming, but also in fertilizing. So I'm going to add in a clip right here of me talking with my clients, Sue and Mike, explaining to them kind of how you fertilize this type of backyard garden, and the only 2 types of fertilizers that you really have to use for this whole garden. The things that offer you any kind of bloom. So that's going to be the Vero wood, the 2 trees on the side, the Brazilian red cloaks that offer you the flower, and those little lantanas that offer you the blooms. Anything like that is going to require the blooming granular fertilizer. So and I know you know this, Sue, because you're a gardener, but when you do that fertilization around that, you're really kind of fertilizing the mulch, not the plants. Yeah. So I usually exactly. Yeah. So I usually put them in like a little mop bucket or some little bucket, and then I'll just take it and kind of chicken feed it in between in the loose areas. Right. Yes. Yeah. Now the other plants, all of these other plants are tropicals. So the agaves, the crotons, the yucca, everything else here is in tropical form. And even if it's a colored leaf, it's still in the tropical form because it doesn't offer a bloom. So you're going to want to use the 8-2-12. That's the palm gain fertilizer. And I know that seems like it should just be for palms, but that is what they love. That is a great tropical blend for them. Okay. So 8-2-12 is going to be your friend. So those are your 2 types of fertilizers that you're gonna use. And of course you'll see that in the plan too.
Any amount, more or less in terms of fertilizer?
So the 2 that I gave you are slow released. Yeah. So I like using those 2 options because you can't burn the plants with it, because some of the other ones, if you put too much, you're really doing the job of burning. I mean, you can burn them with anything, but you'd have to put a great deal amount on there. So what I like to do is I like to just do an even disbursement. So I take a handful, I walk, and I chicken feed it. I walk and I chicken feed it. So all the open mulch, that's kind of how I do it. It'll give you an exact measurement on the back of the bag, but that's usually how I do it. And the less mulch that I see, usually I just use that open area. I'll just kind of fertilize just like that. Okay. So it's very non-scientific, but it seems to work really well. No, so
that's going to continue even when these start to make bigger groups.
Absolutely.
Then you won't be able to fertilize in the center.
Exactly.
You're just going to fertilize it around.
Yep, you're literally fertilizing the mulch. I see a lot of the guys who come out to do the fertilization, they'll just kind of take it and throw it out and then shake the bush to get the fertilizer off of it. You want to avoid getting fertilizer right down on the root system. Yes, so think about it, you're fertilizing the mulch itself. So.
And I see they've staked the trees, which is good.
Yes.
So hopefully hopefully we won't have any bad winds and they'll be okay.
Yes, and the reason for that is because these trees are what we call patio trees, because I didn't want to put big hardwoods in here. So these trees are going to overall have a smaller footprint, a smaller frame. So they're going to need support a little bit longer, because they're not one of these guys who pop in and root really fast and really heavy with big hardwood roots. They're a softer root. So, so leave them tied up for, I usually say a year.
Yeah.
So that's the end of next hurricane season and kind of this time frame.
Yeah.
And you're good to go. Heights, just generally, and I know you've had a lot of these plants before, so you probably are familiar with it, but you can see the sloppy painters are naturally a bigger plant than the mammy crotons.
Yeah.
So those are going to get, I'd love to see those almost to the tip of the fence line. Yeah, because in your seating section, the area that I felt like it was a really good straight shot to the fountain itself was straight through the middle. So let this side get big and that side get big, and then really swoop down in the middle. So when everything grows in, it really feels like we have this going on. Yeah. And I think you have enough structure to make it interesting.
And what is this in the middle?
It's called a yucca rostrata.
A yucca, okay. How big does that get?
So it won't get much larger as far as wider here. It will start to have a stem to it, but it's what we call a petite plant. Yeah. So even when it gets some size to it, you're kind of going to see right through it and right around it. It grows exceptionally slow. So that's kind of the reason why I chose to put it there, because it offers interest without really overtaking a space.
Will we have to cut that back at any stage?
No, you're going to trim the lower as the stalk starts to grow. You're going to trim, because it's always going to have that same kind of head to it, but it's just going to have more of a trunk to it. Yes.
Take the ones that are
exactly. So you're going to see right through it. All you'll have is a trunk there. I felt like these might get just a tad bit too big and overpowering in the center, so that's why we have something a little more delicate in the middle.
Yeah, no, because these are big already, but they'll
yes, you'll get about 3 more foot from them from the top, and another foot or 2 wide-wise. Wow. So so those are the bigger boys.
Will they start to encroach on these?
They will, absolutely. Yeah. So what they're going to do is they're going to grow up and wide, and then anything that falls down towards those. Now those are the dwarf 5-fingered Xanadu, so they stay lower, more compact. So I kind of want them to be a sea of green with that yellow and green popping out of the middle of it. And then just to darken that coloration, you're going to see those Rojo Congos in the back, and they're going to widen like this. They get nice and big and broad, so they're going to feel like they're real thick right there, but that's kind of what we want, was a little bit more of that tropical look on the sides. Okay. So, and then the yellow guys to the back, the sloppy painters, are going to give you that thickness. Yeah. The mammy crotons, those I trim twice a year. They stay naturally more ball shaped, so more chunky and rounded. So they're going to take a little time to get some real size to them. Those are the red guys in the back. Yeah. And you can keep them that size forever if you want to, by just doing a light trim along the top and the sides. When you trim on those, let them connect together, but kind of keep the sides, if you can, just a little bit edged, like a little bit trimmed with hand clippers. That's it. On crotons in general, I know the maintenance guys want to bring out the hedgers. If you can avoid that, okay, that'd be great.
We actually said that we would maintain this now, so then they won't come near. Yeah.
So this is not a big area, which is what's wonderful about this. You can probably really trim this all in an hour and be done, and do that just 3 times a year. Yeah. But hand trimming, clipping is really a big thing. If you clip the leaves, it leaves those leaves open for disease. So there's not a lot of sun back there, so we kind of want to keep that as healthy as possible. Mm-hmm. But overall, that's pretty much it. All right, you guys, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed today's video and it gave you some inspiration to get out in your garden. As I mentioned earlier, if this is something that you're looking for, our video link will be pinned in the first comment and in the description down below if you would like to learn more about the 3 services that we offer. Thank you guys so much. Take care, and I will see you next weekend.